So it's been a very interesting week on the channel and on social media for me, because it appears that I upset the very toxic Scream 5 and Scream 6 fan base once again with yet another truth bomb directed at them. Which is not surprising because, like I always say, the truth sounds like hate to people who hate the truth. And I do think that these people would fall into that category for sure. What's interesting is that we now have more information coming out that further validates the things that I've been saying about the Scream franchise. The only question is, how will these unstable individuals try to twist this truth into something that it's not? Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So The Hollywood Reporter just put out an article titled, "It's a Scary Time for the Scream Franchise." And in that article, they give a little bit more information about the future of the franchise. They also clarified a few things in regards to the Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera situation. Turns out Jenna Ortega was never officially signed on to Scream 7. And part of the reason for her being absent is her asking price was just far too high. Par for the course when you consider how Spyglass refused to pay Neve Campbell once upon a time as well. Apparently Ortega had been paid in the six figures for the previous Scream installments, and this time sources say she was seeking high seven figures, which she anticipated Spyglass would balk at, and they ultimately did. Apparently the feeling around Spyglass is that because of the financial success of Scream 6 without Neve Campbell, they are under the impression that neither stars nor high salaries are essential for Scream to be successful.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Now there's a few things you can take away from this. For one, as I already stated, Jenna Ortega did not leave in support of Melissa Barrera. That's right, she's been gone for months, so I think we can stop trying to treat her like a hero, because in the end, it was all about the money. That being said, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Jenna Ortega asked for more money, knowing that Spyglass doesn't do that sort of thing, simply because she wanted out of the Scream franchise. My guess is she really didn't want to be a part of this movie anyway, and she decided to throw a high number out there. And best case scenario, she has an amazing payday if they say yes. And worst case, they say no, and she can move on to do other things that she'd rather be doing.
That makes sense.
And in that aspect, I can't knock her hustle. But I have to reiterate that the Jenna simps out there were 100% wrong about her absence, to the surprise of absolutely no one. The other part to this is that Spyglass is pretty much exposing itself as being just as incompetent as some of the other major Hollywood studios.
Why are you the way that you are?
Based on who they hire and who they let go, it doesn't seem like they have a very clear understanding of what makes Scream work. Clearly they lucked out with Scream 6, having a terrible movie do really well financially, and I do believe that that had a lot to do with just being in the right place at the right time. Because that's just how things go with Hollywood production sometimes. This is nothing new.
It's Hollywood, baby. Who knows what's gonna happen?
It definitely does feel like Scream would be put to better use in more capable hands. But once again, to be clear, in all likelihood, that will most likely never happen. Because why would Spyglass sell their most profitable franchise? I assure you that based on all of this information, they are not worried about a potential boycott of Scream 7. As far as them believing that Scream is bigger than any one star, that is showing me that once again they don't seem to understand the thing that they now own. The truth is that Spyglass has been trying to treat Scream like any other horror or slasher franchise. Just making countless sequels and thinking they can put interchangeable leads in them and have the same success.
Not in my movie.
But that's not what Scream is. That's never been what Scream is. Scream is not about Ghostface. Scream has always been Sidney Prescott's story. Scream is about how that character who has already been through so much is destined to fight forever against the image of this masked killer that will constantly haunt her for the rest of her life. To be so naive to think you can move away from that story tells me everything I need to know about this studio. I'm going to be very clear, Scream is not bigger than Sidney Prescott, but Scream is bigger than the Carpenter Sisters. The Carpenter Sisters were nothing more than placeholders. Replacements injected into a story where they do not belong to appease simps on the internet. Mid! And you know what? It actually worked, for now. I cannot deny that. the numbers do not lie. But to me, what never helps a franchise in the long run is making a divisive movie. And that is exactly what Scream 5 and 6 are to me. There are people who love these movies for their own reasons, and there are more traditional Scream fans like myself who feel like they deviate a bit too far from what made us all fall in love with the franchise to begin with. It's kind of like Disney Star Wars all over again when you think about it. And if the Star Wars situation has taught us anything, it's that these new fans do not stick around, typically. In fact, they are usually easily distracted into obsessing over something else when the hype wears off. A lot of the same trolls that I talked about at the beginning of this video basically admitted to me this week through conversation that they are in fact Jenna and Melissa fans first and Scream fans second. What this all means is that it may work for a while to appeal to this simp culture, but those people tend to be fickle, and odds are they will lose interest in Scream at some point.
What were we talking about?
They will eventually move on, which is exactly what some of them are threatening to do right now. I've always heard that people will tell you exactly who they are, all you have to do is listen. I'm sorry, but I know that most of these people are not real Scream fans based on how dismissive they are of legacy characters. You can call it gatekeeping all you want, but a true fan would not do that. So that is where I say that sometimes gatekeeping is a good thing. Especially when you actually care about the thing you are gatekeeping. And you want to protect it from people who are trying to reshape it in their own image. Because those people don't truly love it the way that it is.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Now I say things like this all the time, and yes, it rubs people the wrong way. But that's because, once again, deep down, a lot of these people know that I'm telling the truth. They just can't admit it because they need to keep up appearances and appease their social media following. But me, I don't care about telling people what they want to hear. I'm not here to validate you. I'm here to tell the truth. And that scares some people, and that's when they start attacking. They start calling you racist and homophobic, and they say asinine things like, you support genocide if you question the integrity of a hypocritical fan base.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
To the people who watch me consistently, when have I ever said anything in any of my videos that would suggest that any of that is true? The answer is never, because these people just say things without thinking because they're trying to paint a narrative. They're trying to bully me into silence. And all I can say is do not ever remain silent about something you care about. You have every right to express your opinions just like they do. And when people get mad at you for doing so, just know that you're probably doing the right thing.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
As far as the future of Scream, with the return of Neve Campbell looking less and less likely, Spyglass appears to be leaning towards a full reboot of the franchise for Scream 7. And if that is in fact the case, then I think I can speak for many people when I say don't bother, because I have absolutely no interest in seeing that. And I actually think that a lot of Scream fans would agree with me on both sides of this argument. To me, things are just far too contentious now. The fandom is completely split, and there's just too much uncertainty around the brand as a whole. Sometimes it's best to just cut your losses and take a step back before you make things worse. And I think that's the approach that Spyglass should be taking at this time. We do not need another Scream movie right now. I'm sorry, but we didn't even need the last 2 Scream movies. I think it's time for Hollywood to start focusing on original concepts again, instead of just trying to milk established IPs and running these once great franchises into the ground to the point that nobody cares about them anymore.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.